More assessments needed before mining can begin in St. Ann and Trelawney, according to NEPA.
Teach them! Always make sure the message reach them!
The National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA, says more work needs to be done on an environmental impact assessment for proposed bauxite mining in parts of St. Ann and Trelawney. Environmentalists have been opposed to mining in the proposed area, saying it will encroach on the delicate cockpit country ecosystem. In a statement, NEPA says they have reviewed the draft environmental impact assessment, which was submitted in July. However, the agency says it does not properly comply with the terms of reference. As such, the agency says the report is not ready for widespread circulation, and they have mandated further public consultations. The draft environmental impact assessment was prepared by the consultants Conrad Douglas and Associates. It examines the proposed mining by Noranda Jamaica Bauxite Partners II, the company in which the government of Jamaica is the 51% shareholders, for Special Mining Lease 173 in St. Ann and Trelawney. NEPA says receipt of the draft is only the first step in the review process. This is then followed by wide-scale circulation, public consultation, and a final review. NEPA added that the projected timeline to complete the final review is not possible before December of this year. They are also assuring the public that no mining will be allowed in the disputed area until a decision has been taken by the Natural Resources Conservation Authority and the Town and Country Planning Authority. Well, the proposed September 19th start of mining in the area is currently off the table, it seems. Or is it? Well, time will tell.
Teach them! Hey, yo, send the message and make it reach them. It's teach them. Right here, Warlord representing.
Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment below. Remember to like and share the video. Don't forget to subscribe for more awesome content. Follow me on social media and check out the suggested videos on screen. This is Teach saying, until next time, walk good, my friends.
Listening to your radio, whoa. Cutting edges on your stereo, yeah. Mutabaruka leads the way, so just you let the station play, yeah. Say your teachings got to hold on me, yeah. Well, this is Kimani and you're listening to, Mutabaruka. IRFM, cutting edge. Whoa.
Teach these truths to your children. Teach your children that they need nothing exterior to themselves to be happy. No person, place, or thing, and that true happiness is found within. Teach them that they are sufficient unto themselves. Teach them this, and you will have taught them grandly. Teach your children that failure is a fiction, that every trying is a success, and that every effort is what achieves the victory, the first no less honorable than the last. Teach them this, and you will have taught them grandly. Teach your children that they are deeply connected to all of life, that they are one with all people, and that they are never separate from God. Teach them this, and you will have taught them grandly. Teach your children that they live in a world of magnificent abundance, that there is enough for everyone, and that it is in sharing the most, not in gathering the most, the most is received. Teach them this, and you will have taught them grandly. Teach your children that there's nothing that they are required to be or to do to be eligible for a life of dignity and fulfillment. That they need not compete with anyone for anything. And that God's blessings are meant for everyone. Teach them this, and you will have taught them grandly.
Teach your children that they will never be judged, that they need not worry about always getting it right, and that they do not have to change anything or get better to be seen as perfect and beautiful in the eyes of God. Teach them this, and you will have taught them grandly. Teach your children that consequences and punishment are not the same thing, that death does not exist, and that God would never condemn anyone. Teach them this, and you will have taught them grandly. Teach your children that there are no conditions to love, that they need not worry about ever losing your love or God's, and that their own love, unconditionally shared, is the greatest gift they can give to the world. Teach them this, and you will have taught them grandly. Teach your children that being special does not mean being better, that claiming superiority over someone is not seeing them for who they really are, and that there is great healing in acknowledging mine is not a better way, mine is merely another way. Teach them this, and you will have taught them grandly. Teach your children that there is nothing they cannot do, that the illusion of ignorance can be eradicated from the earth, and that all anyone really needs is to be given back to themselves by being reminded of who they really are. Teach them this, and you will have taught them grandly. Teach these things not with your words, but with your actions, not with discussion, but with demonstration. For it is not what you do that your children will emulate, but how you are they will become.
Yes, may I tell you. Okay, so quite a few things are going on all over the place. We see the rural read thing come back power again, but it never gone still, but it come back power in a most strange way where the defense lawyer is arguing to dismiss the charges from Mr. Pinnock and Ruel Reid because the entity that charged them had no right or jurisdiction to charge them. So he's arguing that they should dismiss it. I don't know if they have double jeopardy in Jamaica, but you know, say if you dismiss that charge there, you can't come back again and charge him for the same thing. So we have to go watch that as really and truly, you know them way there? Yes. Jackass to the world no level. And it's no level for Joe. What a thing. Anyway, I don't know how much people hear of this, but in Thailand, on the 29th of January next year, they are going to have a Ganja festival. I don't know if I have heard about it. Yes, they're going to have a Ganja festival to promote what them doing with Ganja down there, and so they're going to have concert and all them something there. But it's a big thing. It's a big thing. This is in January next year. Big Ganja festival. Where they're going to show what them doing and what them not doing as it relates to the Ganja product. That is very interesting. Now, you know, say, the Ganja money is seen as illegal money if it passes through America and go through the bank them. The bank them will be penalized if they make the Ganja money come through them bank. So this is a setback for the Ganja thing in Jamaica because NCB, Scotia, Sagicor is very skeptical about taking money that is deemed to be Ganja money, even though a lot of it is coming from places in America that legalized ganja. Yes, it is legalized. You see the irony of the ironies? The irony of the ironies. Colorado, Florida, Massachusetts, all of them places, and more, many more, legalized ganja. And they are planting fields and fields, acres, upon top of acres of ganja. But guess what? We can't transact money bank to bank because the Trump administration will penalize it. See it as laundering of drugs money. Wow. So I don't know how the man them on here, so I deal with that because the show must go on. The show must go on, you know, because it's a serious thing. It's a serious thing. And we know, say, the possibility that America might be our biggest market for our product. Well, Canada seems to be stepping up to the plate in many ways. But the money that is transacted based upon for ganja sales and ganja, whatsoever people do with ganja money, is seen as laundering money from drugs by the American government. So I don't know what the government going to do, because the government seem to be getting into the ganja business big time too. And if the government is involved with it, the only thing the government involved in it for is money. And the people them who them doing business with is not Jamaican. It's Canadians, especially the Canadians. So we're going to see how that play out. We're going to see how that play out because, trust me, it's a setback. It's a serious setback.
It's terrible, you know, about just where math came from. You know, all of the pictures that they've shown out of Africa, they've never really educated the Americans, white or black, about what really goes on in Africa, what some of the cities are really like, and that we're not running around over there with Tarzan, you know. And when they show anything from Africa, even down to today, they pick the worst scenes, the most terrible situations, you know, and they show those. But we have a proud history. But of course, what we did in Egypt 5,000 years ago, or what we did in China 35,000 years ago, is of no benefit if we don't understand what to do today and how that would help us to survive. We discovered the clock. We did discover the wheel. Black man has never been a caveman. You've never been in a cave. There's no history of it. You've ever been in a cave. We discovered mathematics and the alphabet and writing and all of those great things that they have built a foundation on, that they came and got and took back to other countries. We don't know what Africa would be like without the white influence. We don't know what it would be like without the Rockefellers and De Beers and all of them. We don't know what Africa would have been like. We do know that there were greater places in Africa other than Egypt, which is the only one they let us know about.
Concurrently and simultaneously during the Pyramid Age, there are great things happening in West Africa. But we very seldom. There are nations known as Dartichet. Dartichet is now, would geographically presently be located where Ghana is. We had the Nak culture, which is where we today would call Nigeria. We have the Monomotapa Empire in what today we call Zimbabwe. There are over 300 stone structures in southern Africa. And then you have that great structure in the great Zimbabwe that shows a direct relationship to the Grand Lodge of Luxor in Egypt. You have Puanit, which is in today's Somalia, Ethiopia. You have the Kush empires that are simultaneously happening. When Hatshepsut, the great Pharaoh king, although she was a woman, she was a Pharaoh king, sitting on the throne of Kemet, her cousin sits on the throne of Puanit, or what we call Somalia. There are great things happening historically across the African continent. You have the kingdoms of Kuba and Luba in Central Africa.
Mansa Musa was the king of Mali in the 1300s, very wealthy brother. During the dark age of Europe was going through a dark age. Africa was thriving. It was the gold capital. Mansa Musa was considered the wealthiest man on the planet at the time. Mansa Musa had a very well-known pilgrimage to Mecca, where he went to Egypt and went to Mecca and went through Egypt, and he gave out so much gold it threw off the Egyptian economy. In today's terms, Mansa Musa gave away what would be the equivalent of $100 million in gold.
The African was the first race to circumnavigate the entire globe.
All over Africa, all over the world, the peoples of color that they call Africans, South Babylonians, we were all over the world. So to say that in Ghana, they had the Ashanti, they had, all over, we had powerful dynasties, so innumerable we couldn't even name them. Because remember, we had hundreds of thousands of years, and that's the secret. They cut us off at 6,000 because anything beyond that they could say is mystery. They could say is myth. So when you control the information, which is essentially what they've learned to do, under the Vatican they have about 6 to 8 miles of storage space that have all of our artifacts. And the Virgin Mother being black, all of the faces. We have to take apart the layers that are actually constructed in the lie. They're layered. For instance, you have a discipline in academia called Egyptology. Now, what is Egyptology? They say, well, it's the study of Egypt. Well, no, it's not the study of Egypt. Egyptology was created by the Vatican in order to make sure that there was a screening mechanism in place to explain away the truth that was being excavated every year, that kept giving them proof of who the ancient Kemites were. So Egyptology and Egyptologists are essentially agents of this information. Where else do you see a society, a people, and a way of life actually become a science? Unless you have specific purposes to make sure that the information that you are gathering on those people are given the proper perspectives to maintain the lie. So you don't get an Americology, you don't get Europology, you don't get Russiaology.
Richard Pryor, right? When he had his special back in 1977, there's a scene. They only allowed him to do 5 shows. In fact, they were rather ignorant because it took him 5 shows to realize what the brother was really doing. Richard Pryor, there's a scene where he goes in to the pyramids, and he is carrying the bags of the archaeologists and the anthropologists who are of European descent. And they're talking amongst themselves about what this find is and its importance, the greatness of it. And Richard Pryor is in this temple looking all around, and he begins to say, but all these people are black. He said, look at that guy over there, that guy looks like my uncle. And he's just, it's humorous, but what Richard Pryor is actually talking about is that, these are black people in these pyramids, and these are the people that built these pyramids. He's saying, wait a minute, these people... And then all of a sudden, the camera begins to show the anthropologists of European descent, and they start to nudge each other because they realize, hey, the guy carrying the bags is looking around and he's learning some things in here. So very quietly, you see them backing out of the pyramid, right? And Richard Pryor is still there talking about how great the pyramid is, and then all of a sudden, they show you the door close, and all of a sudden the scene goes black. Which means that was the blackout on the information for black folk to understand their history. This is what Richard Pryor was dropping on us in 1977. This is what actually has happened. Richard was telling us, this is what has happened to us. Because as you become conscious, and brother becomes conscious, and as a community we become conscious, the Europeans who know this are beginning to realize. So they're trying to shut the door on us.
Yes, serious reasoning. If I sound away on the radio tonight because I don't know if I'm under the weather or over the weather, but trust me, man. Yes, anyway, look here now. I have a whole heap of reasoning this weekend about different things, and which where I come from and all them something about. It's amazing that, and we're going to say this without any apology, because it come up. It's amazing that people come up with these 12 tribes of Israel according to Gad, and don't know what Gad did us about it. Yeah, that's a serious thing, because look, you know, if a man born July, him say him a Judah. If a man born December, him say Marsha. Look here, it's not so, him did I say it, you know. I want to explain it to you, even though it's kind of nonsensical to me personally, but him have a reason for it. God starts from the first new moon in the year, which is between March and April, the first new moon. And that first new moon represent the first sun. Now, in order to know, according to God, in order to know which tribe you belong to, you have to go find out the day and the date when you did born to figure it out. You can't just jump and say because you're born in this month is that, or you're born in this month is that. And that is when I say a whole heap of youth, a whole heap of everybody is some tribe, because God left a legacy there. God left a legacy there that people start to label themselves Israel and 12 tribes. Now we have to go back to old Rastaman them, because the old Rastaman them when me used to move amongst them, say the whole of them say them are Judah. And the reason why them say them is Judah is because Haile Selassie is from the tribe of Judah, and them is his son. And you know, say if he's the son of Judah, you is Judah too. Well, God come up with this thing, but I want you really think about this. It is highly improbable. I don't even know if there's such a word. It is highly weird that a man going to have 12 sons, and the 12 sons them born the 12 month of the year. It is, I mean, what is the probability of that? In other words, a man said Joseph, Benjamin, Reuben, and all them something to go write down, and it might represent the 12 month of the year. Meaning, say, if you're born in another month, then you represent Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Gad, and them something there. You are telling me, say, Israel, Jacob, have 12 sons, and the 12 sons them represent the 12 months of the year, meaning that them born the 12 months. It's not probably, it's not possible. I mean, it's possible, but the probability is outrageous. And that was the first thing I did have with it. That argument that each away, if we born a certain time, it come like zodiac sign, but we don't want to say zodiac sign because people are going to say that a European thing, but God show is a European thing too, but nobody now going to say that. You know, see, because people want to believe that them come with a different thing. That if you're born on a certain month, you is that tribe. And you're not only doing that now, you are configuring your life based upon the tribe where you belong to. It's not that you automatically behave that way because you're of that tribe. But you actually, if you say you're a Reuben, you start to behave, after reading the Bible, you start to behave like a Reuben. If you say you're a Gad, you start to behave like Gad, ruled by the penis and all them something there. So it really don't make no sense. But people hold on upon it. That has to show how gullible people can be without thinking. Because years after now, people are going to wake up and realize, say, but wait, how about this? You understand? And even when we did in there, and we are hear this thing, and people are saying, me a Asha, me I say, I'm born on December the 26th of December, you know, me I don't know Asha. Because I don't even know Asha supposed to be this dainty and love, whatsoever I'm love and all them something there. But the thing is, God come and tell we must read the Bible from Genesis 1 to Revelation 22, which is the most profound thing I ever hear a man say. The most profound thing I hear a man say. If you want to understand that book, you read it from Genesis 1 to Revelation 22. But here the problem with that now, and it relates to God. God come up with an interpretation of the book. And him have everybody to find truth for yourself. That is really what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be finding truth for yourself. Everybody will follow God come up with the same interpretation like what God interpreted. That's strange. Our people don't see it as strange. People don't see it as strange that God interpret the Bible and hundreds of members come up with the same interpretation, even though you were supposed to read the Bible with a clear conscience and find truth for yourself. Or you can find truth for yourself when you are preconditioned to come up with an interpretation like the leader of the group or organization. That is not that is not what you call personal choice. That is choosing based upon for your association. And that is really the main problem I did have with this thing, that I read this Bible and I now see the things them what God say. Because it carry me going to some different places. You know, see it. And if you go to a man in the house and tell him say this, he'll say, I'm going to say, no, brethren, what you talk about? That means that you have to connect with what God say to relate to the Bible in itself. So a man I going to tell you now, say, boy, right now, this is how this is as it relates to what the Bible say. And you have to find the interpretation. And everybody come out with the same interpretation. That is mind control. It's mind control, that. Mind control. If you in an organization and the leader tell you to read this book and then bring an interpretation of this book to you and tell you must read it with a clear conscience, so you might find truth for yourself. And the truth where you find and where the hundreds find is the truth where the leader come up with. It's amazing. It's amazing. But people grow big. People grow big and realize, it's a phase in them life, and them have to just move on. You know, they have to just move on. Because really and truly, 12 Tribe was the biggest organized structure as it relates to Rasta. But them keep telling us, say, this is Jesus. That is a big problem. That is a big problem. Okay. So, we're going to play this.
I'm bald. So here's the thing. I'm 53, and so racism is generational, meaning that racism has changed over the years from what it used to be in the 60s and the 70s, even in the 80s. Racism these days is more subtle. My concern, my fear, I have a 30-year-old son and a 24-year-old daughter. My concern for them is that this generation is angry, but this generation isn't getting together to collectively do something about the issue. So while my generation was about the awareness, you have to be aware, you have to go out there, you have to create the movement. We would sit in, sit out, stand up, stand out. This generation is like, well, I really don't need to do that because I can sit anywhere I want to. I can live anywhere I want to. I can go anywhere that I want to. This is the thing. The mentality of the individuals who practice racism has not changed. The only thing that's changed is the way in which they express it. Racism is something that is taught. You are taught, don't like that person because they're black. If you look at 2 little children, 3, 4, 5 children playing in a park, they want to play because they're all little kids. they get older and they're told, no, you can't do this. Timmy can't play with Jaquanda. It just doesn't happen. Chica, get out of the road. This is New York. So the issue is that this generation needs to recognize, even though you think you can live anywhere, you try moving into an all-white neighborhood where they really don't want you, the cross will come. They will still burn it. So it's not that we can truly live anywhere we want to. It's just that we have more areas that we can live. The reason that we're not as dedicated as a group to fighting the issue of racism is because before we were all subjected to live in one location, in one area. We supported each other in our black businesses. That's why you had black millionaires. What do we do now? We give other people our money. If all black people stop going to the movie theater, guess what? None of those movies that are hits would be hits. Why? Because ain't nobody go to the movies like black folks. We spend our money, but we don't go to see our movies. We go to see other people's movies. And so they say, since nobody goes to see black movies, and they go, we're not going to make any black movies. Back in the day when you could only go to the all-Negro theater, guess what? Everybody went. Everybody supported it. Now that we have choices, we've left our people behind. So my recommendation, my suggestion, my commitment, my prayer, my hope for your generation is love what you're doing, but you got to recognize that the power is in the numbers. The power is in doing it together. The power is in being a collective, cohesive unit, which we're not. Other races recognize that about us. And so from even a financial perspective of how we spend money, that's where the racism comes into play. They won't go into our stores, but they want our money. They won't come into our neighborhoods, but they want us to spend money in their neighborhoods. They won't come into a black car dealership, but who are the ones who drive some of the very, very expensive cars? So it's not that we don't have the money. We just need to be educated about how we spend it, because we have more power than we realize. We just don't know how to utilize and wield that power. If black people, nobody else but black people, decided that they were going to stop for one day, a 24-hour period, to stop spending, they would be amazed at the impact they would have. But no matter how much black people get together and say they're going to do that, there's always somebody somewhere who is like, I'm going to go to that gas station anyway. I'm going to go to that place anyway. And that's why it doesn't change and it doesn't end. But make no mistake, racism in America is alive and well. It has not died. It has not changed. This experience that my daughter had 3 weeks ago in Stone Mountain shows me that there's a whole other generation of people out there proposing racism, supporting it. They truly believe in it. The next time you're in a mall and a white person bounces into you, see if they say sorry. They don't even see you. They don't know you're there. So it's not that they're being rude. Honestly, they don't see you. It's called being invisible. I'm not American. This has been an amazing experience for me, coming to this country as an adult, having children in a society that I don't know anything about, coming from a country where everybody is black and we don't refer to people by color. You have to learn how to adapt to this environment. My request of your generation is explore outside the boundaries of America, because what it is that you're trying to do, it may not necessarily survive here, but there are other places where you can truly live, be powerful, be wonderful, be free. But having to do that in America is going to take far, far more time, far more commitment, far more collective, cohesive movement than this place has ever seen. And there aren't enough people who are aware of that to be able to do it together. But understand this, racism has not died and will never die if you know the history of America.
Yes, serious thing. Never die, especially now. Especially now, you see what is happening, and you can rest assured say it's alive and kicking. You know, and the residue of this thing is perpetuated amongst black people themselves, where you have black people almost upholding white supremacy even more than white people. It's a strange thing, phenomenal, that you have people who black don't want to talk nothing about no African this and African that, because them say, where you bring up that for? What you bringing up that for? You see them go celebrate Halloween. I see a big poster and post up on the road. I talk about Halloween. I mean, really, really, really.
I'm a believer. there's no need to look back, no. And when I see the situations come, I overcome. When the situations come, I overcome. When the situations come, I overcome. When the situations come, I overcome. Yeah, I overcome. Yeah. My faith is made perfect when I'm faced with my weakness. But I stand on your words, oh Yeshua. I can't be defeated, no. The giants before me, but I'm standing my ground, yeah. Just because I believe in your words, I trample them down. And all I know is when the situations come, come on, I overcome. When the situations come, I overcome. When the situations come, yeah, come on, I overcome. When the situations come, I overcome. Yeah, I overcome. I overcome. 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 And all I know is when the situations come, come on, I overcome. When the situations come, I overcome. When the situations come, yeah, come on, I overcome. When the situations come, I overcome. When the situations come, come on, I overcome. When the situations
J6 on the I slap police for your case. I go to war for your case.
You know, surprisingly, a brethren, a Saturday or Sunday, asked me about this tune where I'm going to play. You know, it's a Nigerian sister. And it's ironic, it's weird that you play some songs that you don't know the effect it have on people. This is the last song I expect a man to come ask me about in the Migla party. Say, if me can play that tune, and what the tune name? Name Case. That's what it name. Yes, Case. For our sister named Tenny from Nigeria. Here we go again. Yeah, this is the cutting edge. As we say here, so we kind of what's up, you know, but the work continue. We want to play this Benyo Canon, you know. Yeah, we want to play this. Very short and sweet. Here we go.
Virgin birth, Adam and Eve, Noah, were all repetition, and they could read the works of... You said they're myths. They're myths. All religion is myths. Religion is based upon belief. There are people who would bet their lives that Jesus was born. There are people who are dying to go into cemeteries. But that doesn't make things stop. The way we were taught as if there was no other religion but Judaism, Christianity, or Islam. There were religions, and our religion way older than Judaism and Christianity and Islam. Let me jump that the Africans did. The religion of the worship of Olodumare, for example, among the Yoruba, is more than 2,000 years older than Christianity.
Let me get to this because I see time is creeping up on us. We were sitting around the dinner table, some students and people, and a question came to you both. The way you sound, you guys may not believe in God or something.
I am married to an ex-nun, an ex-Roman Catholic nun. I drive her to 35 years we've been married a few days ago, and I drive her to church on occasion. I'll go in and listen. I'll go to the mosque. I'll go to the Buddhist temple. I go to anybody's religion because religion is a belief. Nobody has it. Now, you ask if I believe in God, you must first explain, because I met the guy that robbed my house, believed in God. He had a big cross on his chest when they caught him and down at the prison. He believed that didn't stop him from robbing my house. Believing in God won't make you good or bad. The Ku Klux Klan believe in God. The one thing that they say that they have established a religion to protect the name of Jesus. So read the whole philosophy. Most of the people here in the Bible Belt will cut your throat for being black. Did the Bible stop them from being racist? No. That don't mean a thing because you believe. You believe and your behavior are two different things. And people ask, you believe in God, you don't believe in God. So what that means? It doesn't mean I won't cut your throat.
Okay, but you said earlier that if we start paying black preachers tomorrow morning,
the church will close. How many of them come in to do volunteer work? It's a business. It's a salary people get out of it, whether it's Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, or what.
Christianity and religion as we know it is a business?
Big business. Biggest business is bigger than AT&T.
You get all kinds of tax breaks and all kinds of privileges when you're the minister.
His salary is paid. You think the Pope would be there if he didn't get a big salary? He'd get the biggest salary of all. Do you think, no, let's face it, how many ministers you know doing it for free? Just tell me.
Okay, this is
if you don't pay your 10% tithing and see how, if you're going to get buried. They leave your corpse, and may come to the undertaker parlor and say, if you want, but you're not coming to the cemetery. You sing in the choir all you want and go get married and see if you have to pay.
What are we to learn from all this? How are we to change our lives? Or how will it change our lives in the better, or can it?
No, I am not against anyone believing in a God system. To the contrary, I do believe in a God system. A system. But what I'm against is that for African people, and by the way, you're Africans, you know, you may not know that, but just remember, if you get a rabbit and put it in an oven, and the next day you go in and it has little ones, you don't call them biscuits. And if Africans come to America and got little babies, they're Africans. Okay, I know you don't like that when you look in the mirror because you can't think you're an African. But anyhow, I have no objection at all. My children, I have a daughter who's a Jehovah's Witness. I have...
Does that bother you?
No, it don't bother me because I train my children. And I know what they believe and don't believe. And in fact of her being a Jehovah's Witness, when problems strike, it's Big Daddy they're coming to. I know that. And my daughter was trained to be intelligent, that you don't pray to stop getting pregnant. You have to do something about that. You gotta go either to the drugstore or a gynecologist. You pray all you want. If you're having a man, the praying will stop the pregnancy. You understand? But birth control will. Okay, the pill will help.
Yes. Yes, Ben. I tell you. Cutting edge. Classic.
That's reality. I'm not going to tell my daughter.
Okay, so we'll go to Pat Clark. Here we go. Okay.
Time gets a little hard. John Brown, then forward abroad.
Welcome to Jamaican Roots and Culture. I'm Pat Clark. The Chinese have contributed to Jamaican culture in a significant way. The Chinese arrived in Jamaica in two distinct waves. The first wave arrived as indentured laborers between 1854 and 1888. The first Chinese female immigrants arrived in Jamaica in 1884. Although it was illegal for Chinese nationals to leave their country up to 1894, faced with famine and other harsh conditions, many took the risk for the possibility of attaining wealth and returning to China. The second wave of Chinese came as free migrants in the 20th century. The first group of 267 laborers who had been directly contracted in China to work in Jamaica arrived at the Kingston Harbor in 1854. Later that year, an additional 472 were sent from Panama to Jamaica, fleeing from malaria and other diseases which were decimating the population. Others would later arrive from Trinidad and British Guyana, now Guyana. Many died on the way or shortly after the journey. Of a total of 800 Chinese laborers sent from Hong Kong and Panama, only 200 were still alive after 8 months. They faced very hard labor and living conditions. Bound in 3-year contracts, they were housed in oppressive, overcrowded barracks and worked 6-day weeks at 1 shilling and 6 pence a day. Despite the harsh conditions under which they worked, many of the Chinese served the length of their contract. Subsequently, many sought employment from sponsors and other members of the Chinese community. Capital to start small businesses were raised either through loans or aid received from more established Jamaican Chinese. By the mid-19th century, many Chinese businesses had been established, with many building their residences above their business. Downtown Kingston became known as Chinatown, and the Chinese gradually branched out into bakeries, laundries, and restaurants. Many Chinese established small grocery shops across the island. This trend proliferated to the extent that it was believed that a town could not prosper without the existence of these small shops. Their popularity and success was largely related to the fact that the store owners sold goods in small, affordable quantities, were willing to barter and extend credit, and would provide service on Sundays and holidays. Through great frugality, many Jamaican Chinese-owned businesses were established. Many of these have developed into major Jamaican conglomerates, some growing from the small bakeries and groceries originally established. Many second-generation Jamaican Chinese moved away from family businesses and other traditions in the mid-20th century. The community continues to commemorate some of its traditions, including the celebration of the Chinese New Year. And we close this edition of Jamaican Roots and Culture with some words of wisdom from a Jamaican proverb. Cry, cry, picnic never have been right. A crybaby never gets his right. This means those who are always complaining are seldom listened to. Cry, cry, picnic never have been right. For Jamaican Roots and Culture, I'm Pat Clark.
Jamaica, I'll never leave you again. I love you, I'll never leave you again. Jamaica, I'll never leave you again.
Come to the Ministry of Justice Integrated Justice Fair at Halfway Tree Transport Center. Get assistance with legal aid, expungements, restorative justice, administration of estates, and application for birth, deaths, and marriage certificates. Enjoy a special performance by Nesbeth at Halfway Tree Transport Center on Thursday, October 24 from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. The Ministry of Justice, taking justice services to you. The European Union and the Ministry of Justice partners on the journey to a first-class justice system.
Come check out the Tile Arcade's new spacious and comfortable showroom with convenient parking at Vital Block Factory Complex, Elgintown and Seaview Drive, Lucy, Hanover. We're stocking the widest selection of wall and floor tiles, porcelain and granite countertops, faucets, toilets, face basins, kitchen sinks, jacuzzis, and so much more, all at the best prices. We're open Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The Tile Arcade. WhatsApp us or call 807-8840. Tile Arcade, creating beautiful homes.
Campari Pop Style Profile. Win a bag of cash and upgrade your lifestyle. Everybody has a chance to win at Campari Pop Style. Win $100,000 each for being the most stylish male and female. Second stop October 26th at Rudolph Elder Park, St. Thomas. Hosted by me, Miss Kitty. Gates open at 9 p.m. Music by Team Shella and DJ Nico. Admission free. Follow us at Campari Caribbean for more info. Campari Pop Style, October 26th. Must be 18 years or older to enter. Drink responsibly. No weapons allowed. Get the KFC Bucket Meal for your chance to win $1 million. Win instant prizes or $1 million from October 17th to November 21st with the Jamaican promotion at KFC. KFC and Pepsi, for the love of it.
Approved under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Hey, hurry to Sinclair's Bargain Center. It's a pre-Christmas clearance sale. October 24 to November 2. Up to 50% off selected items. Hurry now to Sinclair's Bargain Center, island-wide.
Get ready for Babylon at the Bass Friday, November 1. Babylon, hailed as one of the best reggae films ever made, will be screened at the birthplace of reggae, the Ambassador Theatre in Trenchtown. It's the launch of Cinema Paradise, Porty Film Festival. Enjoy a resurgence of its soundtrack with legend Brinsley Ford. Then it's on to 2 magical days in Portland with Storm Salter, Dahlia Harris, Sheldon Shepherd, and much more. Visit PortyFilmFestival.com or call 876-828-0970 for details.
Campari pop style, profile. Win a bag of cash and upgrade your lifestyle. Everybody has a chance to win at Campari Pop Style. Win $100,000 each for being the most stylish male and female. Second stop, October 26th at Rudolph Elder Park, St. Thomas. Hosted by me, Miss Kitty. Gates open at 9 p.m. Music by Team Shella and DJ Nico. Admission free. Follow us at Campari Caribbean for more info. Campari Pop Style, October 26th. Must be 18 years or older to enter. Drink responsibly. No weapons allowed.
Come to the Ministry of Justice Integrated Justice Fair at Halfway Tree Transport Center. Get assistance with legal aid, expungements, restorative justice, administration of estates, and application for birth, deaths, and marriage certificates. Enjoy a special performance by Nesbeth at Halfway Tree Transport Center on Thursday, October 24 from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. The Ministry of Justice taking justice services to you. The European Union and the Ministry of Justice partners on the journey to a first-class justice system.
Yeah, this is the Cutting Edge on RFM. We want to remind the people that tomorrow we will be broadcasting from St. Thomas. Yes, we will be in St. Thomas celebrating Paul Bogle. So we'll be there. The program Stepping Razor will be broadcasting from there. Stepping Razor, the art of war. Okay, so here we go now.
For several years, the Israeli government was forcibly administering birth control to a segment of its minority population, with doctors injecting Ethiopian Jewish women against their will with a contraceptive, Depo-Provera. But it wasn't until this January that a government official finally acknowledged it. One investigative journalist who interviewed 35 Ethiopian immigrants found that they were being intimidated and threatened into taking the shots, while being told that they were merely inoculations. But many speculate it was all part of a deliberate attempt to restrict an expanding minority in the country. You see, over the last 2 decades, Israel's experienced a significant influx of Ethiopian immigrants. They're now being close to 130,000 living in the country. And while the government has finally put an end to this inhumane, insane population control tactic, the story has shed a light on a dangerous contraceptive that's now being pushed and administered on women of color all over the world, including right here in the U.S. So here to talk about the use of Depo-Provera and how this is targeting minority populations in both here and abroad, I'm joined now by Randy Short, President and National Spokesperson for the Anti-Depo-Provera Clergy Coalition. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
So, Israel allegedly put this to an end. Can you talk about what you know about the health effects, though? Because obviously women were being administered this for years without knowing about them.
Well, the drug was first patented in 1959. By the middle 60s, there were a lot of unethical experimentations done, in particular the Grady Clinic study in Georgia on poor black and poor white women. God knows how many people died. This drug did not get approved until 1993-94, but during that time that was used on women all over. The effects of it are serious: excessive bleeding, osteoporosis, breast cancer, cervical cancer, heart attack, stroke, ectopic pregnancies, excessive weight gain, which can lead to type 1 or 2 diabetes, short or long-term infertility, maternal death. It strips the epithelium, the inner part of the woman's womb, making her more susceptible to all STIs and STDs. Therefore, doubling the chances of getting HIV, AIDS, chlamydia, HPV, gonorrhea, or syphilis. And there are other things that bothers the mental health. One of the things that's come to us, that the group that I work with, the Rebecca Project, is that many women are telling us that they've had mental problems. The FDA in 2004 was so concerned about the dangerous nature of Depo-Provera that they issued a black box warning, which is the most serious warning that can be issued by the FDA about how dangerous this drug is.
And despite this warning, this black box warning, it's still being administered under multiple agencies to multiple countries around the world.
Yes.
Who is administering it? Why? And where?
Well, it's being used primarily in non-white countries. So Muslim countries, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Burma, possibly on the Myanmar minority, all over Africa, Central America and Latin America. And of course the United States, depending on whose information you look at, it's disproportionately used on African American women. Who's doing it? Planned Parenthood is one of the big purveyors of it. In addition to that, you have the Population Council, you have the International Federation of Planned Parenthood, you have a lot of persons and groups that have a Malthusian view that there are too many people, and therefore they want to reduce the population. They know this drug is deadly, it's cheap, and it makes huge profits for the parent maker, which is Pfizer.
And USAID is also one of the agencies as well.
For 47 years, it's been an unofficial policy of the USAID Office on Population to use or to send abroad dangerous, unsafe, untested, or unapproved drugs.
And you said that this is being obviously disproportionately affecting minority populations.
Yes.
If they know that it's deadly, why would they be administering it to minority populations? I mean, what is really this all about here?
There are too many non-white people. If you look at a gentleman by the name of Dr. Ravenholt, who was head of the USAID Office on Population from about 1966 until 1979, he was able to first convince President Johnson that it was in the national and commercial interest of the United States that 1/4 of the women in the developing world be sterilized. So there's some sense that if there are too many black or brown people, that somehow their needs will conflict with the capitalistic, imperialistic aims of the United States and its allies.
And there's been multiple lawsuits against Pfizer for the detrimental health effects from this drug, but they seem to be getting away with it and seem to keep, direct-to-consumer advertising. Well, how are they doing this?
Well, they're making a lot of money. The U.S. Department of Justice has sued them in the last 10 years and fined them about $6 billion. But if you're making billions and billions, it's the price of doing business. But you have to understand, the people that are being steered towards this drug are poor. They lack education and legal representation, and they're being tricked, so they don't know. Now, you have to understand, Pfizer lost in Canada. They've lost in Europe. But they go to countries where they can't be sued. You can't sue from Nigeria here. You can't sue from Mozambique here. So you can go to countries where you either have a corrupt government structure or they're coerced, or should I say they've constructively manipulated into having this drug as part of their international foreign aid. Do you see what I'm saying? So the women become just chess pieces in a Malthusian eugenics game.
And so you think this goes beyond just a corporation making as much money as it can, pushing it on as many people as it can. You think it actually goes down to, this is a modern day form of eugenics,
and genocide, yes.
And it's happening here in the U.S. as well.
Yes, it is.
Well, that's very shocking, and we'll definitely follow up with this story. Very disturbing. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for your time. Randy Short, President, National Spokesperson.
And I'm with the Rebecca Project on Human Rights.
Absolutely.
All right,
thank you so much.
All right.
Very disturbing. Them news are they about long time, Long time them news are about. But people see it as conspiracy theory. But guess what? I see them with the roundup when people that think it's a conspiracy theory, that even our government, I say, the one that we have is not the same. Well, every time I remember this thing, I have to laugh. The man said the one that we have is not the same one that the people them have sued them for. Roundup is Roundup, and it's Monsanto make it. So you know, all them injection thing there is the same thing. It's the same thing. Because them always use we as guinea pig. I think the other day we did play the South African one, where the South African doctor of death. All these things is available, This information is available. Yeah, this information is available. You have to just look. Just look. Okay, here we go. This is the continuation. We are continue this. We are continue this. Here we go.
The African who existed in history, and they say history is when a people begins to write. That starts their history. That means there is no history for Greece until Homer wrote the Iliad and the... There is no other written record in Europe until Homer wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey.
Which was when?
833 before the Common Era. And Homer said in the Odyssey, quote, the gods Zeus and Apollo came from Ethiopia, unquote. Zeus and Apollo is known as Greece's first two gods. And Homer himself, the first Greek writer, said they came from Ethiopia. The Egyptian writer, Hunefer, Hunefer, in the papyrus of Hunefer said, quote, we came from the beginning of the Nile, where God happy dwells at the foothills of the mountain of the moon, unquote. Secondly, when the Africans wrote and created writing, there was no God Jehovah yet, no Adam and Eve yet. The first Hebrew, Abraham, was not born. Abraham is not born until at best 1346 before the Common Era in the city of Ur in Chaldea. Chaldea is about where modern day Iraq, just south of it is, where the Tigris and Euphrates meet. Now, when Abraham was born is equivalent to the 13th dynasty, just around the time when a people called the Shepherd Kings, or Hyksos, invaded the northern part of this land, around the delta. And they did not come any further south than a place called Avarice. And they're still in the delta. For instance, Hyksos have never been this far. They have never been as far as Cairo. And Cairo is an old city. The oldest it could go back in Fustat. And it was made by the conquerors during the time of Muhammad Ali. And Muhammad Ali wasn't even an Arab. He was an Albanian who took on the name Muhammad Ali. Now, when he converted to Islam to get the throne. If we go back further, not a single Hebrew was in this land until then, unless he was astray. There was no a single nation. There was nobody named Abraham. Abraham's mother and father did not follow what we call Judaism today. Terah, his father, worshipped an African woman. An African woman you will see right across here, called Hathor. H-A-T-H-A-O. That's the Western spelling. The correct name is Het Heru. H-E-T-H-E-R-O. You will see her and the funerary temple of Queen Makari Hatshepsut. She is sewn as a cow. And when she is sewn as a woman, it's an African woman with cow's ears. The best place you will see her is at a temple dedicated solely to her at a place called Dendera. Then you will see thousands of faces of her, especially in the Hypostyle Hall. The Hebrews in the first book, the book called Genesis, which means first, they showed that Abraham worshipped the golden calf. India calling the sacred cow. But the golden calf is nothing else but goddess Hathor. Now, that's the 13th dynasty. If we go back to find out all that was done by the time of the 13th dynasty here, before the first Asian, there is no European history then. The Etruscans, the first of European, along with the people of Perth, which later became the Romans and the Greeks, are not in history then. That don't say they don't exist, but there are no records of them. There's no record of an Adam or an Eve. Then what? No God, no Jehovah, no Jesus, no Allah. Then.
But the Africans were already.
But African Pita. I'm going at random. I could keep knock them off. Let me go. Since African God had goddesses, I mean, they weren't eunuchs or anything like that. So the Africans had Ptah, right? They had Nut. They had Osiris. They had Isis. And by the way, I could use the proper name. When I say Osiris, they had Asaru. When I say Isis, they had Aset. They had his son, the Trinity. They had Asaru's son, Heru or Horus, born of an immaculate concepted mother. He himself born of a virgin birth, which you can see the story at the temple of Seti I at a place called Abydos. And Seti I was a king, 19th dynasty king. The Africans equally had numerous other goddesses and gods.
Yeah, man, these things is very important to know. Education. That's all it is, education. Things that we never learn in school. This is the university, cutting edge university, we call it. For a long time we call it that. But it's very important when I say about the different gods when it exists before Abraham, before Jesus, before all of these things come up. You go and listen to our next man who, all right, we did have him in the studio with me years ago. We're going to play an excerpt from where I say, here we go now. Ray Higgins.
Everybody read what you see on the screen for me. Space inside this circle represents my realm of knowledge. All that I think I know about whatever I think I know is depicted right here within this circle. I must keep in mind that there's more to know than what is within the circumference of my awareness. Did y'all grab that? Yes. I start all of my lectures off with this. And the reason why I do that, brothers and sisters, is simply because I am a teacher. Did y'all hear what I said? Yes. Now, what does that mean? That means that when I stand up to talk, I am going to say something that you don't already know. Because if I only say what you already know, then I'm not teaching you anything. Got me? Now the problem is, we have all been programmed to immediately reject what we hear that is not inside our circle of awareness. You follow what I'm saying? So, that's the reason for this. Because I know I'm going to say some stuff, and when I get ready to say something that I know is outside of your circumference of awareness, I'm going to say, hold that circle up. Hold that circle up. All right, so that so it kind of prepares you for what I'm about to say that you don't like. Like there is no Jesus. You see what I'm saying? See? Okay? And I know it's a little hard to digest, but as we get through this today, I hope you'll understand a little bit better. Moving on, why do I stand up and do what I do? Why? The whole reason why I get out the bed every day, the whole reason why I go on the air and talk to people all over the world every day, it's my life, is so that I can begin the process of undoing or reversing ideas and concepts that have been what? Programmed. That's an important word. Yes. Programmed into the minds of our people by what? The religious statements and what else? Certain doctrines that have caused us to adopt a belief system that is what? resulted in our loss of contact with what is real, factual, historical, and spiritual. Do y'all grab this? I want you to understand why Brother Ray is here. Okay, I'm not here to impress you. I'm here to do exactly that. I want to say something today that will really begin the process of undoing the programming. The programming that got us messed up. The programming that literally has disconnected us from reality. Okay? I got an email. I sent out an email blast just a couple of days ago. I was up to about 3 o'clock in the morning writing this thing. A young lady asked me to prove to her, she's been listening to Black Liberation Radio lately, she asked me to prove to her that Jesus never existed. Or that Moses never existed. See? And I sent this long email back trying to explain to her it is impossible to prove the non-existence of a thing. Think for me for a moment. If something never existed, how can I prove that it doesn't exist? So I told her, I said, let me reverse the challenge. Prove to me that it did exist. And I will pay all of your living expenses for the rest of your life. You see? That's what we should be. And I asked her, I said, you're asking me to prove to you that there was no Adam, there was no Eve, there was no Noah, you asked me to prove this to you. Did you ask your original teachers who taught you this to prove to you then that they existed? No. The answer is no. I didn't do it. I was raised with a belief system. I was raised in a belief system. And I accepted it, I digested it, without ever verifying the existence of anybody I had been taught about. Can I get a witness? If you would be honest with me, you'd have to say, well, he is telling the truth now. Telling the truth. Telling the truth, because that is right. We didn't stop to ask for proof. And we grew up believing it until somewhere in our psycho paradigm, it has become our reality. It has become our reality. That doesn't mean it's real, though. It simply means it's our reality. Am I making sense so far? Yes. Cool. So what's deep is when you honestly believe that a person raised somebody from the dead, or when you honestly believe that somebody took 2 fish, 5 loaves of bread, and fed over 5,000 people. I mean, when you honestly believe that somebody broke God's laws of nature and walked on water. Now trust me, I am a psychotherapist by profession, okay? And what we call the manual we use for determining psycho illnesses. Diagnostic manual, thank you, brother. Okay, in there's a code that means if you believe something that is not in the context of fact and reality, you have a mental disorder. That's right. For example, if you believe that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw it, you would even say it glowed. If you believe that, as an adult, something's wrong. You follow me? Because that's not with fact, real, and reality. It's not historical. Okay? Religion has done that to us. It has us believing stuff that's got us messed up as a people. Now y'all see why I have security. Now I know that's funny. If Captain will bear witness to what I'm saying. Brother's been with me for a long time. Preachers are the ones who have threatened me. Y'all hear what I'm saying? Pastors are the ones who have said, we're going to stop you by any means necessary. And the only thing I've asked them to do is invalidate what I've said. I ain't selling drugs, man. I'm not a drug dealer.
But they are.
You're a drug dealer.
Exactly.
They're selling a drug called religion.
Right.
See? I'm not messing with nobody's child like some of them are. You see? I'm just trying to tell the truth.
Exactly.
So why do you, National Baptist Convention, want to shut me down? You see? I was on the air one Sunday morning, and Captain radioed up to the radio station for him to come down and said, Chief, why don't you stay up there for a while? Because there's somebody down here. We got to deal with this person. I said, well, who is it? He says, there's a man down here waiting to see you. I said, well, is he armed? He said, no. I said, well, I'm coming down then. You know, hey, I'm a man, he's a man, you know. I ain't no punk, we won't. What gotta be done with it. You know what I'm saying? And it's deep because as soon as I stepped out of the radio station, Captain, bear witness, this brother charged at me and security had to subdue him. He was one of the ministers in St. Louis because he was under a mandate to stop me. You see? So it's really deep that I have to go through this from religious leaders. You know?
According to research, in order for a culture to maintain itself for more than 25 years, there must be a fertility rate of 2.11 children per family. With anything less, the culture will decline. Historically, no culture has ever reversed a 1.9 fertility rate. A rate of 1.3, impossible to reverse, because it would take 80 to 100 years to correct itself. And there is no economic model that can sustain a culture during that time. In other words, if two sets of parents each have one child, there are half as many children as parents. If those children have one child, then there are 1/4 as many grandchildren as grandparents. If only 1 million babies are born in 2006, it's hard to have 2 million adults enter the workforce in 2026. As the population shrinks, so does the culture. As of 2007, the fertility rate in France was 1.8, England 1.6, Greece 1.3, Germany 1.3, Italy 1.2, Spain 1.1. Across the entire European Union of 31 countries, the fertility is a mere 1.38. Historical research tells us these numbers are impossible to reverse. In a matter of years, Europe as we know it will cease to exist. Yet the population of Europe is not declining. Why? Immigration. Islamic immigration. Of all population growth in Europe since 1990, 90% has been Islamic immigration. France, 1.8 children per family. Muslims, 8.1. In southern France, traditionally one of the most populated church regions in the world, there are now more mosques than churches. 30% of children ages 20 and younger are Islamic. In the larger cities such as Nice, Marseille, and Paris, that number has grown to 45%. By 2027, 1 in 5 Frenchmen will be Muslim. In just 39 years, France will be an Islamic republic. In the last 30 years, the Muslim population of Great Britain rose from 82,000 to 2.5 million, a 30-fold increase. There are over 1,000 mosques, many of them former churches. In the Netherlands, 50% of all newborns are Muslim, and in only 15 years, half of the population of the Netherlands will be Muslim. In Russia, there are over 23 million Muslims. That's 1 out of 5 Russians. 40% of the entire Russian army will be Islamic in just a few short years. Currently in Belgium, 25% of the population and 50% of all newborns are Muslim. The government of Belgium has stated 1/3 of all European children will be born to Muslim families by 2025, just 17 years away. The German government, the first to talk about this publicly, recently released a statement saying, "The fall in the German population can no longer be stopped. Its downward spiral is no longer reversible. It will be a Muslim state by the year 2050. Muammar al-Gaddafi of Libya said, "There are signs that Allah will grant victory to Islam in Europe without swords, without guns, without conquest. We don't need terrorists. We don't need homicide bombers. The 50+ million Muslims in Europe will turn it into a Muslim continent within a few decades." There are currently 52 million Muslims in Europe. The German government said that number is expected to double in the next 20 years to 104 million. Closer to home, the numbers tell a similar story. Right now, Canada's fertility rate is 1.6, nearly a full point below what is required to sustain a culture. And Islam is now the fastest growing religion. Between 2001 and 2006, Canada's population increased by 1.6 million, 1.2 of those immigration. In the United States, the current fertility rate of American citizens is 1.6. With the influx of the Latino nations, the rate increases to 2.11, the bare minimum required to sustain a culture. In 1970, there were 100,000 Muslims in America. Today, there are over 9 million. The world is changing. It's time to wake up. 3 years ago, a meeting of 24 Islamic organizations was held in Chicago. The transcripts of that meeting showed in detail their plans to evangelize America through journalism, politics, education, and more. They said, "We must prepare ourselves for the reality that in 30 years, there will be 50 million Muslims living in America. The world that we live in is not the world in which our children and grandchildren will live." The Catholic Church recently reported that Islam has just surpassed their membership numbers. Some studies show that at Islam's current rate of growth, in 5 to 7 years, it will be the dominant religion of the world. As believers, we call upon you to join the effort and share the gospel message with the changing world. This is a call to action.
Yes. Yeah, them information there. Them information there. So, really and truly, it won't be a racial thing. It will be a religious thing. Really. A religious thing. Wow. This is the cutting edge. Them information is scary, man. All right, here we go.
Hey folks, welcome to another edition of Questions Protestants Can't Answer. Today's question is, who wrote the Gospel of Mark? And how do you know? I'm John Martinoni, president and founder of the Bible Christian Society, and today's question is focused on the idea of sola scriptura, which is Latin for the Bible alone, or the Bible only, which is one of the fundamental pillars of most of Protestantism, that we can know all we need to know about our Christian faith and about Christian morals by simply picking up the Bible and reading. So this question, who wrote the book of Mark, is a very important question, because what it does is, if all I need to know about Christianity I get from the Bible, if the Bible is my sole authority in matters of faith and morals, which it is for most Protestants, how can they answer that question? Because nowhere in the Bible does it tell us who wrote the book of Mark. This thing right here at the beginning of the Gospel of Mark in Scripture that says the Gospel according to Mark, that's not inspired Scripture. That's put in there by the publisher of the Bible. We don't have any originals from Mark that say, I, Mark, wrote this Gospel, or that say the Gospel according to Mark. So again, if you go by the Bible alone, how do you know that Mark wrote Mark? That somebody named Mark even wrote Mark? And how do you know that that Mark was inspired? Where in the Bible does it tell you who wrote the Gospel of Mark so that you may trust that it is inspired Scripture? Because if you don't know who wrote it, how can you know it's inspired Scripture? This is very, very important. So as Catholics, we need to ask everyone who believes in the Bible alone as their sole rule of faith, who wrote Mark? And if they say Mark, the secretary of Peter and companion of Paul, the next question is, how do you know? Because I read Mark and there's nothing here that says, I, Mark, companion of Peter and Paul, wrote this gospel. Nothing in Luke that tells me, nothing in Paul's letters that tells me who wrote the Gospel of Mark. So what authority are you relying on? It's not the Scriptures to know who wrote Mark. So again, the question is, who wrote the Gospel of Mark, and how do you know? Think about it. Pray about it.
Yeah, it's a serious thing. I wonder if we can play that again. I wonder if we can play it again.
Protestants can't answer. Today's question is, who wrote the Gospel of Mark? And how do you know? I'm John Martinoni, president and founder of the Bible Christian Society, and today's question is focused on the idea of sola scriptura, which is Latin for the Bible alone, or the Bible only, which is one of the fundamental pillars of most of Protestantism, that we can know all we need to know about our Christian faith and about Christian morals by simply picking up the Bible and reading. So this question, who wrote the book of Mark, is a very important question, because what it does is, if all I need to know about Christianity I get from the Bible, if the Bible is my sole authority in matters of faith and morals, which it is for most Protestants, how can they answer that question? Because nowhere in the Bible does it tell us who wrote the book of Mark. This thing right here at the beginning of the Gospel of Mark in Scripture that says the Gospel according to Mark, that's not inspired Scripture. That's put in there by the publisher of the Bible. We don't have any originals from Mark that say, I, Mark, wrote this Gospel, or that say the Gospel according to Mark. So again, if you go by the Bible alone, how do you know that Mark wrote Mark? That somebody named Mark even wrote Mark? And how do you know that that Mark was inspired? Where in the Bible does it tell you who wrote the Gospel of Mark so that you may trust that it is inspired Scripture? Because if you don't know who wrote it, how can you know it's inspired Scripture? This is very, very important. So as Catholics, we need to ask everyone who believes in the Bible alone as their sole rule of faith, who wrote Mark? And if they say Mark, the secretary of Peter and companion of Paul, the next question is, how do you know? Because I read Mark and there's nothing here that says, I, Mark, companion of Peter and Paul, wrote this gospel. Nothing in Luke that tells me, nothing in Paul's letters that tells me who wrote the Gospel of Mark. So what authority are you relying on? It's not the Scriptures to know who wrote Mark. So again, the question is, who wrote the Gospel?
Muta.
Blessed.
Good night, sir.
Good night.
Yeah, man. Him, to me, I thought everything there when I say about God.
Mm.
And, everybody come up with the same
thing we can come up with, yeah.
But, so I'm just saying the Septuagint right, too.
Yeah, but this is like, you're supposed to read with a clear conscience.
Then they say 71, they went put the 71, how much of them to translate.
Oh,
and they them come put the same translation and all that.
Wait, I don't know what you're talking about. Explain that to me.
No, the Septuagint. You know that the
Septuagint. Oh, the Septuagint.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what them did right. That's why they call it so-called 71 priests.
Put it together.
Translate.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something almost like that. Everything are related.
Yeah.
But with them thing that back in them days, with the tribe business, if I went 12 months I run them time, because sometimes with the Jewish canon and all 13 months.
Yeah, well at 13, you know what gets one out. You remember I said she should have, according to the Bible, they have one daughter, you know, named Dinah. But that no count in the whole process of the thing as a tribe. I don't know. It just the 12 sons then become the 12 tribe of Israel, and the woman is just a sideline.
But anyway, then say from 70 BC when the Roman them around them time there, when the Roman them did conquer Jerusalem, they go and conquer. Them did burn down the temple and burn all the records.
Yeah.
So after that, no Jew no really know what then tribe.
No. Well, everybody say one going to exile. Judah, I think Judah going to exile in Babylon. And then you have Benjamin. You know, I don't know, the last tribe of Israel is speculation. It's more of speculation about the last tribe of Israel where claims them did in Egypt. There's no evidence that any group of people in Egypt was no slave. No evidence. You know, furthermore, the people them who come down in Egypt there, the Ixos them, dismantle up the whole Egyptian culture. Them come from up in the north and the Caucasus Mountains there. I don't know if you ever hear about that yet. The Ixos. Them come from the Caucasus Mountains, them come down and dismantle up the whole of Egypt. Yeah. The white people them.
Because we were then going with them burn down.
Burn down everything. Then
anything you got, your records, them all your books and lessons.
Yeah, Alexander no burn down the library too. In Egypt.
All of them.
Yeah.
But about that, what you call it, like just about Egypt and all that. They them do that, run the thing there with the papyrus.
Papyrus, yeah.
With the papyrus, right? For writing and
them use a right one.
Yeah.
I don't know who crossed the Nile in a papyrus boat. Me and Cabo and Rebel. Remember again, Utan Green and Yassos. We take a papyrus boat and go across the Nile there, go over the other side. Yeah, that was something else, man. but it was Israel laugh.
No brave army.
No, no brave in that. That's something where the people them do continue.
They know that are them.
That are them. They don't go in and play it.
The papyrus thing there. They say like, you know, after that they start use parchment. Oh, parchment coming up. So the people in from Greece, Pergamon, I think Greece from them where the Pergamon, them they come and them look on the library of Alexandria.
Yeah.
And the king decides, boy, I want to build one big library too. So I talk to them, man. But he may want to build one bigger than Alexandria.
Yeah.
So my boy say, oh, I want to build big one bigger than this. You won't have got to know. You see the price of papyrus. So them just raise up, put some big tariff on it so they can have spend enough money if they want to go build a big library.
Big library, yeah.
And then couldn't buy the amount of papyrus. So they have to find alternative. And that's how they start make parchment, because first is the name of then we call it Pergamon or something like so. Is a you know, words change over the years, over the centuries. So you go from Pergamon to Pergamon or something like so, and you go and change till you reach parchment in a French, and we get it now here.
Yeah.
But you know what I think, but when I said to me, I listen, the one with the brethren attack and said to him, the preacher them. He must say, no church, nobody now work for free.
No, Ben your canal. So yeah, them not work for free.
So when him attack, you know, me remember one little story when I did here. I try my good and tell you one time too. about the man who go to the Catholic priest when him little dog when him did love so much dead and him and the priest will bury him for him. So him go to the priest and him say, ask the priest say, boy, I think I bury the dog in that church. He said, man, you mad. We no bury animal, man. No bury dog. You understand? You can't do that. So my boy nearly a ball, you know, and the brother says him, say, boy, you don't know nobody else how we do it. So I say, yeah, what you do? You know, say, one of them look non-denominational church down the road there. Check them, maybe them will do it, because them do anything. My boy, I go out the door, and when he reach the door, and turn back and say, but father, tell me something, you think £5,000 is enough to give them? Father said, my son, why didn't you tell me the dog was a Catholic? So,
I can't laugh, no, Virgin. I can't laugh. I feel bad. I can't. Yeah. The dog is a Catholic.
But since the dog is a Catholic, you bury him.
Oh, you mean, of course, the $5,000 is enhanced.
$5,000 is a Catholic right away.
Yeah, man.
So all of them can right now in Jamaica every day. Some money, I see people are dropping at church.
I tell you.
And then them guys spend all the money.
I think more money around in the church than in a parliament.
Man, they tell me that I find, I say, man, foolishness. One time when I sell drugs are foolishness, you know, put up one tent down the road down there, so.
Yeah, man.
If you want to make money.
Yeah.
So while he must say that I want to prostitute him out with him. And I smoke.
Yeah. A promoter, they do that too, because we used to go to LA go to show of him. Him have a, what them call it, Rolls Royce, and live in a posh yard in a alley there. And anytime we go to him yard, him always tell him, say, boy, right now, Muta, this reggae business now work out, you know, I'm going to start a church. I you know him to start the church and I make enough money now. I don't know if I'm still in it now, but because that was a long time when we had toured there, but after going back there and him start the show, he said, see, the church I make more money than the reggae music thing, you know.
And of money. You tell me used to go to school with one of my other brethren that tell me the same thing in Miami there. Big, when you tell me all them man, you can't believe. But maybe people change still. But them the man, you know, them man where every day for them name call to go see the principal.
Yeah.
One of them man, they can have about 4 youth, you know, man. One of them haven't come to me and move here. About 4 youth every day for them. But I feel say one time 1 or 2 get in a problem, trouble with them.
Yeah.
The other 2 get trouble so they can go down this way where I'm hang out with you. I don't know. But the 4 of them name I always call almost every day. I know every day, but almost every day. You hear their name called, so then we go see principal. But me I tell you, one of them went on me. I'm over here.
Oh yeah?
One went on me. I'm over here. Me say, when that Canada is a liar. And he must have thumped down policeman in the courthouse and left Canada.
In the courthouse?
What you mean? You know, the policeman do him. That out.
Bad boy, that.
Come to Jamaica and turn to the mayor. But the father went mayor only for a time anyway.
Yeah.
You know, see, so the money that was privileged. But village at times that there, one, you know, him got one Rockstone Church Florida there, Miami there. He couldn't believe me. So when time he bring in a preacher to come preach down there, some 100 and 1,000 if you pay them to come preach.
Okay.
Big preacher them.
Like
big
Kanye
old
West.
church, man.
So that Kanye West had built up it too, you know.
Yeah,
him had built up for him like a repertoire of being a preacher we can draw them crowd, which him did. Him come to Jamaica, come draw thousands of people.
Yeah.
You know, but the thing with that, you know, is like I hear the minister talk about taking down the coat of arms. But there's no law against him doing that still, you know.
No, but he's a businessman.
No, even that when I say if you make it out of courtesy, you can't take it down, you know. But there's no law that I say you can't put that on a t-shirt. The law that they Jamaica put tell you say you can't use a coat of arms. They might forgot now. Legislate the law.
Intellectual property thing.
Yeah. Anyway, give thanks, Bridget.
But yes, man. Take it easy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Hello, Muta.
Yeah. Come like you there, me yard, man.
Huh?
You come like you there, me yard. Me a whole heap of cricket and birds and things around at the background.
No, man, I out do me there, man.
When that me say, come like you there, me yard. That's some yard sound, you know. Yeah, man.
A semi-bush, you know.
Yeah.
Muta, me listen to your two program, them, the cutting and the stepping razor. But show me busy, I know all the way when I get free, listen to it. But me normally listen to a rebroadcast. Like the next day.
On YouTube?
Yeah, on YouTube. But me realize that the stepping, me not see stepping from when. From a good while now.
Yeah, I think something wrong with IRA feed, what them call it. Yeah, what people in England are complain about it.
Oh, okay.
I know IRFM responsible for the YouTube thing, you know, but the people them who used to do it used to get it from IRFM.
Oh.
So now I think something wrong with the IRFM thing. So you know that kind of not about now still.
So we need to go start.
I don't know. Tell you the truth, I don't know. I go start still back to see them again. I go start take the program.
You must get it up and running.
Yeah, I know. No people in England are ball, man.
Yeah, me a ball too because I see me program them.
Yeah.
Especially stepping. Anyways, next thing. Miss Lou, why the government make her be the national hero?
Why?
Why?
I don't know. You have to ask them that. I don't know why they don't make her a national hero.
So, you know, she said she deserve it.
Taki should have make a national hero too, you know what I mean? Bob Marley, you know what I mean? Them way there.
Yeah, I understand Bob Marley and Miss Lou, but, you know, so them are go on the thing with Bob Marley. But, I mean, Miss Lou now, she really, you know, really outstanding.
Yeah, I see them still long in a parliament and talk one time, but where name again? The minister now, where name again? Sleepy, me call him. Him said we should follow the example. Him tell the youth they must follow the example of Taki. But I say him really no want the youth them follow the example of Taki. I just chat that. You understand? But them say the next one them going to make a national it was Taki. Well, this come round one I don't hear them say nothing about that, you know. But Taki them did really discuss. Them did discuss Taki. And I hear them discuss something about Miss Lou and Bob Marley and anybody like them. For put them in a different category than national hero. You know, like icons of Jamaican icons or something them I try figure it out, you know.
So 100 days of celebration are they what them they talk about?
Yeah, well every other month them keep it. I don't know. I hear them keep a big thing the other day. Them have some little things that go on still.
Okay.
Because the other day them do a thing with Miss Lou and Walter Rodney. You know, I try compare the revolutionary spirit of the two of them will have. Yeah, but them say it got done December. The 100 days are going to end December. You have people in Florida and London, England and Canada do things.
Okay.
Yeah. Alright?
Alright, sir. I just got me there call for. So get this something up and running. So
no, I know me, you know, brethren. Trust me. I know me have nothing to do with it, you know. Me have nothing to do with it, brethren.
Alright, sir.
Yeah. You sure I know me yard there?
No, man. I'm not there yet.
Alright. Alright, yeah. Yeah, the man yard sound like me yard, man. I tell you. Alright, sir. Here we go.
The devil in my life.
Yeah.
Greetings.
Blessed.
Greetings.
Yeah, man. Greetings.
Yeah, greetings, Muta. Yeah, and I realize that you know my virgin as well.
As well in Ghana?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I know, man. Me and him used to live together, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I do have my album jacket on him.
Yeah, and tell me that still in
him the Peter Tosh jacket too, you know.
Yeah.
Him the album jacket for Peter Tosh too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's it?
Yeah. Yeah, not so right now still I'm on his Ganja servant, see, and here they are talk about how the 12 tribe become 12 tribes state. And I'm making note that this pan Rastafari birthday, the 23rd of July. And we have to apply algebra, see?
Wait, me not hear you. Where's the base up of what?
Based upon King of Kings' birthday, the 23rd of July.
Yeah, what that have to do with tribe?
Based on the 23rd of July, the birth of His Imperial Majesty.
Yeah, what is based upon the 23rd of July?
The fourth son.
Eh?
The fourth son of Jacob, see? And based upon the 23rd of July, we calculate 4 months before July and 3 months after July, and you get Gad. See? So 3 months before, 4 months before July, you get Reuben.
No, but Brethren, you don't have to go through all of that, forget it, you know. It's just the first new moon in the spring.
No, we don't base on the first moon. The new moon basically interpreted the Sabbath day. So
which Sabbath? 12 China used to keep Sabbath.
The Sabbath day is based on the new moon, see, the lunar Sabbath. See, that's how we get the new moon. Now, the Gregorian and the Julian calendar is fixed, but not the new moon, see? Because the new moon varies. The Sabbath can be on the Wednesday, Saturday, or Sunday, based upon the new moon. But the Gregorian and the Julian calendar is fixed, see? So you'll find the Sabbath day for Ethiopia is Tuesday, and the Sabbath day for...
No, but what that have to do with the 12 tribe of Israel? I don't understand.
Well, the 12 tribe of Israel are trying to tell you, no, I man is Gad. So I is based...
Alright, so each of the son them born a different month?
Well, it don't go by November. It go
no, me not ask if in November. Me ask if each of the son them born a different month.
Yeah, well,
at 12 son them
up. Don't really. We're based upon Rastafari born on the 23rd of July, which is the first day of Leo. Alright? Based on the constellation of the stars of heaven.
Yeah, but me ask you...
The heaven declare the glory of God.
Me ask you if the 12 son them born 12 different months.
Yeah, basically that's how it is interpreted, and 12 different months.
Alright, so let me ask you a question now. Within the logics of the thing, you really believe that Jacob 12 son them born the 12 different months them? And more than one woman have them born?
Well, based upon the constellation and based upon the scriptures, there is 144,000 elected chosen within the 12 tribes. You understand that there? Revelation chapter 7, verse 1 to 9. You hear me?
No, but I know that he had look pan, brethren. At Genesis 49, him look pan.
Yeah, Genesis 49.
Yeah, show you the tendencies of the tribes.
Give you the birth of the sons in line. Like, they tell you about the first, Reuben, and
so Reuben was his son. Reuben was his son. Reuben was his son. Reuben was his son.
The firstborn.
All right. And which was the second born?
Simeon.
And which was the third born?
Levi.
All right. So let me ask you a question. You really believe, say, the 12 son them born 12 different months?
Well, the gathering is from the constellation. See, now the 22nd of April is the beginning of Reuben, not the beginning of April. A lot of people get it mixed.
Let me just say the first is the first new moon in spring. That me say.
It's not the new moon, because the new moon don't base upon it. Now you now get 30 days from 22nd to the 23rd, because it go right up to Selassie on the first of the 23rd of July.
Wait, hold on. Stick up in, Reggie. Stick up in.
Of June.
The question I'm going to ask you: Israel have 12 sons. You believe, say, the 12 son them born 12 different months?
It is ascribed to 12 months.
Yeah, but them don't born 12 different months.
On the constellation.
No, we're not talking about no cancellation. May I ask you if you believe so them born 12 different months?
Well, Virgin, I said based on the constellation, yes, because at the 23rd of July, the sun moved to the constellation of Leo. Okay, that's why it gets hot. See, so July is the hottest month, and we know so that is the month of Judah. Now, the month of Judah, because of Rastafari, determined the
but a man can born July and it's not Judah. Somebody can born July and it's not Judah.
Yes, because many Israelites disown them birthright.
No, I'm saying that. No, man.
So even if you sell your birthright as an African, you're still African.
Virgin, a man can born July and he is not from the tribe of Judah.
He is not from the tribe of Judah, yes, but this is a spiritual.
It is a different tribe. It is a different tribe, but not Judah. Just like a man can born December and he is not from the tribe of Asher.
Yes, and you can be an Israelite and you is not chosen. You understand me, I say? You can be a Jew and you're not chosen, not because you're a child of God. That means that you know the Almighty God. You must seek Him.
So you have to be an Israelite. You have to be an Israelite. You have to be an Israelite.
No, you don't have to be an Israelite, but you must know the concept. Yeah, because you must remember that Israelite is the first African that encountered the foreigner invasion. Because to come to Africa, you have to come through by the way of Jerusalem.
No go so, Virgin. No go so. How would people go to Africa and not go through Jerusalem?
A lot of people go through Africa because they have to come through Saudi Arabia.
No, them go through Ghana. No, them go through Ghana, them go through South Africa.
We're not talking about flying, Virgin.
Them go through Ghana and them go through South Africa.
Through the Asian trade route, they have to come through Jerusalem from Saudi Arabia because Egypt trade with India and China, and them have to come through Saudi Arabia through the camel and come right
but
up
you still not answer me, no. You still not answer me. You still not answer me, no. You still not answer me.
What was the question?
The question is, Israel have 12 sons.
Yes.
You believe that the 12 sons them born the 12 different months them?
Yes, because born in July and not everyone born in July, but I'm trying to tell you the logic in it.
What is the logic?
Rastafari born on the 23rd day of July, which is the first day of Leo. Now, if
Leo coming out, Leo coming out. Leo is Zodiac.
The constellation is real, you know. This is not fairy tale, all right? We're not working on fairy tale because we know say the constellation Leo exists in the sky, in the universe. And Psalm 19 tells us that the heavens declare the glory of God. So we're not working on the Bible right now. We're working the constellation.
Then the Bible you just quote a while ago. The heavens declare the glory of God, the Bible.
Yes, but now you work with the constellation.
But the Bible you just quote a while ago. The Bible you just quote.
Yeah, but the constellation, we will remember that the Bible written down 2,500 years before what that. So the Bible is more than oral tradition. You hear me? We're not doing oral tradition because most people did oral tradition, change them stories. But we know so the Bible story don't change in the last 2,500 years.
No, but that is not true.
Why is that?
That is not true. A whole heap of things change.
No, the Gospel of Mark, if you compare the Gospel of Mark with Matthew, John, and Luke, I mean, it's saying the same thing. So,
because one was copying from the other. Because one was copying from the other.
No, well, listen, man. The Church of St. Mark is in Alexandria, Egypt, which is Africa, all right?
Yeah.
And Ethiopia church is based upon the Church of St. Mark, the Orthodox faith. The church is based upon the Egyptian, not Rome, because we don't know that the gospel was created in Africa. Yeah, we convert the Roman and the Greek.
Which part Mark come from? Which part Mark come from?
Mark, we know so that the church, Mark remains is in Egypt, Alexandria.
No, where Mark come from? Where him come from?
Mark is a disciple of Christ. We know that.
Oh, you know that?
Yeshua.
Oh, you know Yeshua. That? Which part of the Bible tell you that? Eh?
Mark is a Jew. Mark is not a Roman.
Oh, you know that? Oh, you know that? Which part of the Bible tell you that?
Eh?
Which part of the Bible tell you that?
Then I know the Bible will work with.
No, Mark you just have to
say. Mark is one of the 12 disciples.
Which part of the Bible tell you that?
Well, right
now. I said not tell you, I ask you which part of the Bible tell you that.
Which part of the Bible tell you that?
Tell you Mark was one of the 12 disciples.
When he call the 12.
Eh?
When he call the 12 disciples. When he call them and he go when he call Peter. When the beginning. When he recruiting the 12 disciples.
Yeah. Who recruit them? Who recruit them?
Yeshua, a.k.a. Iasus, a.k.a.
Alright,
Jesus
so which part Mark come from?
Mark is a Jew, my brethren.
No, where come from?
So, what is the point? I don't tell you the 12 disciples exist.
No.
You want to know if you write the gospel, that is a different story.
No, where Mark come from? Which part Mark come from?
Mark?
Yeah.
Mark is come from northeastern Africa. Because Palestine is northeastern Africa, from the continent of Africa.
Yeah.
So please, we work with Africa here.
Yeah.
Come on, I hear about the Middle East.
You hear me say anything about Middle East, but me never mention about no Middle East.
Alright, well, we work with Palestine.
But you see, come like you have a preconditioning about something already and I come bring it to me.
Palestine is our ancestor to America.
You have a preconditioning about something and I bring it to me, brethren.
And the Phoenician, them is African. Anybody is African, and them live all up in Palestine. Because the territory of Phoenicia go all the way up to Syria. We know this. So the Phoenicians live in Palestine all the way down to Libya.
I can't say just all way out.
No, the Israelites is that people who believe in one God. Not every African believe in one God. So you have to know the difference between the Jews and the other Israelites. And plus we have evidence that the infidelity of Hebrew Israelites. Because many Hebrew Israelites.
So what to all them religion will come before Israelites?
Well, the only religion that come before Israelites is Egypt. So there's not
want the Yoruba. Want the Yoruba tradition. Want the
animals.
Alright, want the Yoruba tradition.
There's not much religion that come before Egypt. Tell me now, which other religion come before the King of God?
No, what happened to Yoruba? What happened to the Yoruba tradition?
The Yoruba tradition is a tradition coming from Egypt. If you study the
alright, want to the Akan
tradition.
Want to the Akan people.
Them have a supreme God. Similar. If you study Orishanla basically is the messenger of All-Around. All-Around is the creator of the sky. He lives in the sky. And Orishanla is the messenger who make mankind. That is how Yoruba culture goes.
Yeah.
So Yoruba culture is similar to the Bible, brethren.
The Yoruba culture is similar to the Bible.
Yes, if you study the creational story
which
of
Bible?
Yoruba,
Which part of the Bible?
Orishanla is the one
part
who
of the
makes
Bible?
human flesh.
Which part of the Bible? The Old Testament or the New Testament?
The Old Testament tell you that in Genesis that God blew breath into Adam. Where Yoruba culture tell you that Orishanla create the man and then all around which is one of the sky.
Alright, so may I ask you now, there was a man named Adam, right? There was a man named Adam.
Well, Adam is a metaphor for the first man. You must understand.
May I ask you,
the first nation, and we are one blood, because humanity is one species. So you have to understand that the Bible is right. We are one species. Regardless of white, black, Indian, or Chinese, we have one voice and we can interbreed. So I am not into the racism foolishness.
Oh, you just mix up with white people and just love them.
Protected by the law.
So what the slavery and all them things that we will go through?
Slavery, well, that's what sure is rich men called slavery.
What?
Free labor. Rich men called slavery.
No,
that's free labor. All right? The colonizers were rich people who using Christian denomination because they violated we know that the colonizers were violate the rules of Christ and God.
So you are saying the whole of it just mix up because not everything is everything.
Not mixed up. We have to filter through the lies, my brethren.
No, you just say that. You just say
filter through the lies.
No, but you
because all of our people who revolt against slavery read the Bible, and the Bible gives them that inspiration to revolt against slavery. Sam Sharp, I mean, not really talking, but Sam Sharp and Paul Bogle, I had to read to learn to know that we are equal people. That's why we fight for justice, and it will come from the Bible.
None didn't read the Bible, too. None didn't read the Bible.
Just going about and just working on the plantation.
None didn't read the Bible.
None don't. I mean, she gets a look at it, but Nani really. Well, listen to me. If we put Nani None is still a deal with the spirit because you know say natural alchemy is within I and I, which can call magical warfare. So we have natural alchemy, brethren.
Yeah.
And natural alchemy in the Bible.
But it have nothing to do with the Bible.
We practice that and the Bible talk
so
about
what did that do before the Bible? When we as African did that do before the Bible? We as African people, what did that do before the Bible?
What I do before the Bible?
Yeah.
We was doing a lot of things, but we wasn't recording what we was doing.
So who write Genesis? Who write Genesis, Exodus?
What we are doing now.
So who write Genesis and Exodus and these things?
You understand me? And you remember this, that 3,000 years ago we never have no school in Belgium, so you have to know how far we are come from.
No, that is not
so
true.
Like we have
that is not true. That is not true.
Because
3,000 years we never have no school.
2,000 years ago, sir.
That is not true.
I know the truth and live.
That is not true. About 3,000 years ago, we never have no school. That is not true.
Who have school? You have to go to monastery. You have to be a rich person for somebody school you. You have to have a private teacher. Tell me now. What you talking about? You have to talk about Timbuktu and you have to talk about Alexandria. Well, let me tell you this.
Me not talk about none of them. Me just tell you something.
Library, not a school. It's library.
Me not talk about nothing. Me just tell you something. I mean, like you are jump from one thing to the next. And you are jumping, you know. Christianity, what were we doing before the Bible was written? What we was doing? Okay, credit done. You know, the sister just called me and tell me, say, before this version, I said, Muta, why you opening the phone and your voice sounds so? I should listen to the lady when she said, you know. She said, don't open the phone because your voice going to sound worse. So said, so done. I can't even raise my voice. I shout. You know, see it? Because what this man is saying to me, it has nothing to do with what God say. It has nothing to do with what God say. He might talk about film interpretation and Leo and Judah and all them things there. But if you are going to deal with that, you better go deal with the zodiac sign then. Capricorn and all them something there, it don't make no difference. But you go study zodiac signs. You know? Because we're not going to put it in our place. Mark. I mean, he never ever answer me, who write Genesis? Who write Genesis? Who write Mark? The gospel according to Mark. You know what them say? Match your copy from Mark. And there's a whole heap of discrepancies. I can show you the discrepancies if I did have more time, I could show you the discrepancies. In the gospel them. Matthew, Mark, Luke. I could have shown you the discrepancies them. None of them man there. None of them man there who write that. Whether them did name Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. None of them did know anybody when named Jesus Christ. Paul himself, who the majority of the book them in the Bible, we talk about Jesus and Savior. Most of Christianity is based upon what Paul say. Most of Christianity is based upon what Paul say. Paul, him in the Bible say, him never see the man there yet, him not know the man. But him get stricken by some lightning or something. Because him used to persecute the Christian them. And him get stricken and say, boy, I got speech gospel. So most of the things them with Christian quote, it's not what them Jesus say, it's what Paul say. And as if you notice Paul changed up the whole of the Jewish tradition. The culture of the Jews was changed by Paul because he wanted to appease the Romans and the Greeks. Because he was a Roman citizen. Even Josephus, who people are bad out, but Josephus mentioned is that them things there's joke business if you really get down into the nitty-gritty of the thing. Christianity never started in Ethiopia. As a matter of fact, it's since Haile Selassie it moved from the Coptic church in Ethiopia as a church, where he nationalized the church. But he was crowned by the Coptic church. And it was in Egypt. So, really and truly, this Bible thing why have we twisting and turning. That's why him could have come say it no matter, we must mix up. It no matter, mix up. We are one. Yeah? His Majesty said until the philosophy that all one race superior and the other inferior. Until that day, we Africans will fight if it's necessary because we are confident in the victory of good over evil. I don't know. And I shouldn't open the phone. And operator, don't send in no more phone card to me. Because I have an outlaw. By the way, we're going to be in St. Thomas tomorrow. Not tomorrow, a little more from this. We'll be in St. Thomas. And the lady was so nice with me here, telling me, Muta, don't open the phone. Your voice go and go. Because I hear it over the phone. I hear it over the mic. It was right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hello.
Talk up, man.
Yeah.
May I listen to you now?
Yeah, man. Yes. The whole place is in turmoil with this Brexit thing, man.
Okay. You still in Europe, so? You still not here, eh?
Yes, still not here, and people bitterly disappointed.
Yeah.
Bitter.
Yeah, somebody just call me and ask about it. Somebody call me and ask about it.
You know, not getting the streaming service at all, you know, and people complaining bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What else about the Brexit, you know?
Them used to rely that way, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
a lot of people. And because with the streaming service, you know, because you say, you know, they pay for it and not getting it, you know?
Yeah. What else about Brexit, you know?
And well, the whole uncertainty because Boris Johnson said that he'd rather die in the ditch than him leaving or else him gonna die in the ditch. And him determined, you know, he make him write one letter and then him don't want to sign it to ask for an extension because he's saying that him promise of leaving on the 31st of this month, October.
Okay.
Or else him die in the ditch, you know what I mean? Because him playing it tough, and what he has done is that the DUP party in Northern Ireland, the Protestant party of the English colonizers, that Theresa May depended on. In fact, she bribed them, gave them money to support her so that her minority government could work. What Boris Johnson has done is say, to hell with them, going it on his own, you know, not bribing them and things. So they have no more influence in terms of
no more talk.
What they used to have with Theresa May. Yes, you know what I mean? And of course that money is cut off, you know. But it's a serious situation, and don't be surprised that you hear enough an election in Britain anytime soon too. As a result of all of this uncertainty. And it has affected the value of the pound because over a week ago the value of the Jamaican dollar and the English pound was about 164, something like that.
Yeah.
And now it's about 174, $10 difference.
Yeah, well, I want to tell you that the US dollar, the Jamaican are $130 for US dollar.
100 and how much?
Like 135, 36. It nearly reached 40 though.
Yeah, nearly reached. Yes, so we have in these significant cheap.
Yeah.
Foreign exchange, as you should know too. You notice that all of this paper money thing is a con because when it used to be backed by gold that Nixon got rid of in about 1971, 1972 when the US became bankrupt and said them not use gold to back them thing because them went bankrupt and thing. it's just paper money that don't have no value, and them use them these so-called exchange rate thing to continue to rip off our countries in the Caribbean and Africa and elsewhere. Because real wealth, as you and I know, is like natural resources like gold, silver, or agricultural crops and that type of thing, you know, and what we get in for it. Some so-called paper money that them just print.
Yeah, no, no value, but they make the value.
No value, that's the whole con, and that is why anybody who try to come with something to get rid of the US dollar as that currency, because them use it to sabotage people's economy, as you and I know, Venezuela, Iran, Zimbabwe, etc. They move against them for overthrow and kill them and that type of thing.
Yeah.
You know? I remember when Saddam was moving to trade in euros for oil. This is why they move against him, you know? And when Gaddafi himself to come with a standard based on the Arab, there's an Arab name for it and thing. Because they don't want no threat to the US dollar, because they use the US dollar as the so-called international currency to strangle and sabotage people's economy. But what we really want is a currency that is independent of the dollar, and that is what they do not want. But we have to fight to have that, because once the dollar remains as this currency which other things, they will have that strong hold over people's economies.
Yeah, man, of course.
Economic terrorism.
Yeah. That dollar thing there, they have some documentary I show you about the dollar, you know, and how they...
Yes, because remember the money that was ruling the world before the dollar was the English pound, you know, is after the war with Hitler and the USA, because Britain did borrow money from them, forced them to replace the pound as the international so-called currency by the USA dollar. That's what they wanted, and them get it. But you remember the Peter Touch song about the day the dollar died? You remember the one there?
Yeah, the day the dollar died, yeah, man.
Yes, Peter knew what he was saying. You know, have to get rid of it, man, because them use the dollar to strangle people's economy and that type of situation, you know.
Yeah, man. Them say rich
people. I will see the situation too with the sister there who work as a representative for the AU, how them get rid of her and petition because she makes speech against the Europeans, them had, you know, them imperialism in Africa.
France specifically she attack against.
Yes.
Specifically. And the regime that hold and grip African countries. France. Yes. France are going
man, because colonialism by the French and thing, and it goes to show that the AU is not really no AU, because we have pressure to have her reinstated, you know, because we know it's the French pressure.
Yeah, make sure
why she was just suddenly dismissed from her job. You know? And the problem with the AU is that most of the financing of the AU is by European countries. How can you say you have a African Union, African organization, and you're being financed by the very same enemies, which is opposite to Marcus Garvey philosophy and practice of self-reliance, because when you finance yourself, then you're in control of your economy.
Yeah, the other side to that story is that the money where them are using finance is the same money them draw out of Africa. That's the next side.
Precisely, because about 85% of the foreign reserve of these countries that were officially colonized by France in the French National Bank. So it's them own money to them are used, you know what I mean? Against them. Ridiculous state of affairs. The only country in Africa where the French concern who resisted that was Guinea, led by Secretary. And when the French realized that it wasn't going along with them neo-colonial thing, them take out all the light bulbs out of the schools them in Guinea, is Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, Marcus Garvey student, who had to come to the rescue of Guinea with money and other facilities.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, man. Anyway,
definitely. And people, including myself, still vex how Owen Gray still has not gotten his award in music. Man who began his recording career in 1957 with Who Saw the Lightning that he wrote, Smith, Mr. Smith, Kawanda. And up to now, because about 4 or 5 years now I have nominated him, and Mr. Owen Gray still don't get a OD. And people who just come on the music scene get OD.
Well, maybe the people them don't know him.
You know?
Maybe who are select the thing don't know him.
Yes. And if you notice the people on that selection committee with awards, you notice they don't make the public know who they are. It's some little secret thing. Them, you know what I mean? These people that qualified. You have people from the 1950s, 60s, and 70s who have made great contributions to Jamaican music nationally and internationally, who have been overlooked for people who just come on the music scene. I say the first set of people should be rewarded in chronological order. And Wayne Gray is a typical example of that. You know?
Yeah. Well, you have to just go along.
Yeah, man. So we have to continue the petition about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we have to move.
Yeah, yes. And people want to see you here in the country again. You hear?
Yeah, let's come forward.
All right.
Next year,
all the best then, Muta. Blessed up in this African History Month. Every month African History Month still.